Welcome to the video about getting the formula of ionic compounds, or what I will call formulaizing. I don't know if it's a word or not, but that's what we're going to use here. The only thing you need to remember is that the total charge has to equal 0. This is going to be paramount, all right? Nothing in the world exists solely as a charged species. There's always a counter to it. So we always have to have a counter to it here in our ionic compounds. So let's start here. Copper 1 chloride. The first thing you need to do is figure out the charge of each ion. Copper 1, this charge should be very easy to know because it's copper 1, so the charge is +1. The chloride ion, if you look at the periodic table, you should be remembering that that has a -1 charge. Now there are many ways to do this, but the end result is that when we add up the charges of everything, it equals 0. Copper is +1, chlorine is -1, so we need one of each of those. So when we get one of each, our formula becomes CuCl, right? Because now we have +1 and -1, that is 0. Here, copper 2 sulfate. Well, the charge of copper 2 is Cu plus 2. And if you remember the polyatomic ion list, sulfate is SO4, that is also -2. So how many of each of these ions do we need together in order to get the charge to 0? Well, there's +2 and there's -2, so we need one of each. So we get CuSO4. That is our formula for copper 2 sulfate. Moving on, potassium permanganate. If you remember the permanganate ion, it's MnO4-. Potassium is +1. We have MnO4-1, which means we need one of each ion in order to form the compound, KMnO4. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. Calcium oxide. The charge of calcium is +2, and the charge of oxide is -2. How many of each of those ions do we need? One of each, so we get calcium oxide, CaO. Aluminum oxide, this one's great. This is where I really throw you guys for a loop. Aluminum is +3, and oxygen is -2. So now we have to think, right, how are we going to balance out this charge? Well, the lowest common multiple between 3 and 2 is 6, all right? In order to get a +6, how many aluminum ions do I need? 2. In order to get a -6, how many oxygen ions do I need? 3. So our our formula is going to be aluminum with a 2, because we need 2 aluminums, and 3 oxygens, aluminum oxide. And lastly, we're going to throw aluminum in with a polyatomic ion. Aluminum is +3, sulfate is -2. All right, now that we understand that, it's the same ratio we got from aluminum oxide. We're going to need 2 aluminums and 3 sulfates, and there's a way that we signify that. We have 2 aluminums, but we need 3 separate entities that are SO4. So we're going to put SO4 in parentheses. So we get SO4 here. And how many of those SO4 chunks do we need? 3 of them. So we get AlSO4 3. That is our formula for aluminum sulfate. So here we go. Here's how we get to the formula of an ionic compound.